welcome back to my kitchen. I just realized that the new camera angle that I'm trying to use gives you a really lovely view of underneath my cabinets. Thank goodness they're clean and there are no webs or anything. Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just trying something different with the camera so that you can see me over here, but you can also actually see a little bit more of what's happening on the counter. I don't know how successful this is. I don't know how, YouTube and Instagram people do this all the time. I don't know. Okay. I should be able to figure this out. I'm a librarian, right? But it's okay. Today, I am really excited to be cooking from the new cookbook from Alex Guarnaschelli. This is Cook With Me. 150 recipes for the home cook. Look at how delicious. Alex Guarnaschelli is pretty much very well known for being a Food Network personality. I love following Alex on social media, on Twitter and on Instagram, because it's just like a feast. I love the way that she describes food. I love the way that she talks about food. I love the way that she showcases food. And so I was really excited for us to get this cookbook at the library. And there are a bunch of recipes that I would really like to cook. I'm getting really hungry just thinking about eating right now. I was going to also make the charred eggplant dip, but then I was looking at the ingredients and I remembered I used my last lemon last week, so I'll have to get a lemon and then I can make it, because I have the eggplant and I have tahini, but it just sounds really delicious. It's eggplants, mayonnaise, garlic, lemon juice and lemon zest, tahini paste, apple cider vinegar, hot paprika, salt, and then whatever you want to dunk in it, whether it's crackers or pita bread or whatever. It sounds amazing. Then do I even need to explain myself when I show you this one? I don't even know if I need to explain myself. That is chocolate and honey vanilla creme brulee. So, what's a diet? What's that? What's a diet? We'll go over some more of the recipes that are in this book. It looks really good. But for right now, we're gonna get started on what we're making today, which is tomato and gingery coconut milk chicken. No picture, so we're gonna see how mine looks when it comes out. And see, I can remove my bookmark now. So this recipe calls for chicken thighs and drumsticks. The recipe that I posted on our website is exactly as it is here in this book, but I, one, don't have any dark meat in my freezer. My freezer is fully stocked with everything but dark meat. And two, just kind of didn't feel like going out just to get dark meat, so I'm using some chicken breast. I'm also not making as big of a recipe as this calls for. I'm just looking at the measurements now. 1 can, okay, so I can use that. That's a little less. Probably won't need all of these tomatoes. But I'm really, it sounds really good. And one of the nice things about this cookbook is pretty much every recipe has an explanation, a story, something personal about these recipes. And it's a very personal cookbook and it's really nice. So this requires chicken thighs and drumsticks, cumin, onions, garlic cloves, ground cinnamon, dried red pepper flakes, bay leaves, unsweetened coconut milk in the can, not the kind from the carton. They're totally different. I was actually having a conversation with somebody about that last night. A can of peeled whole tomatoes. Mine are chopped, whatever. Because all of the peeled ones in the grocery stores that I went to had, the whole peeled ones had basil in them, and that's not the kind of recipe that we're making, so I just went with what I could find. And then fresh ginger peeled and grated. It says 1 small knob, but I didn't know what that meant, so I just came up with that much. I don't know. Okay, so what we need to do first is we're going to cook the chicken a little bit. Because eventually you're going to cook it back in the sauce. So what you want to do first is you want to get the chicken brown. I always talk about this. If you watch book cooks, something that I have learned from all of the cookbooks that I've been going through and just watching food shows ever since I was a little kid is that you want to get the food brown because it tastes better that way. It just tastes better. So we're going to heat up the oil in the pan. Actually, let's see. And it says you want to season with salt. I'll do that in the pan. I'm very lazy and I don't feel like messing up another plate. Heat the skillet, then add the oil. And then she always says you want your oil to like heat until it begins to lightly smoke. I feel like I don't want to do that. And then you add your chicken, and you don't want to overcrowd your plate. Like all these chefs have these like great like restaurant grade kitchens in their houses, and they've got like the big hoods, and they've got really big, and it doesn't matter if things splatter and if things smoke a little bit. I don't have that. All right, I'm gonna heat up my pan. And then I'll add my oil, make sure, that just really what it is you want to make sure that the oil is hot. That's it. You want the oil to be hot because you want to get that nice sear, which both seals in the moisture and just gets the food to brown and taste delicious. So I have some olive oil. She suggests canola oil because it's like plain and flavorless. Actually, I should probably use avocado oil because it's also a very neutral oil, but I'm almost done with my olive oil, so I was like, let's just finish this up. I don't like using canola oil. Obviously, like people who work in restaurants do. But canola oil is like one of those mystery oils. You're like, what's in it? What's in it? Is it good for you? Most likely not. I don't use canola oil unless I go out to eat. I'm at the mercy of restaurants. All right, so we're gonna let this heat. I think the other thing they say is you know your oil is ready when it looks like it's shimmering. I don't know what that means. So I have my chicken breast here, defrosted and ready to go. I'm also gonna need my tongs. I got like everything all set up. I try really hard to get everything lined up before I go live, and sometimes it doesn't happen. But I think I did a pretty good job this week. We'll see. That's supposed to be like shimmer. I don't know. I think it's probably hot enough. This stove gets pretty hot, so I'm gonna go ahead and just place my chicken in there and let it get a nice sear, and then I'll flip it. Doesn't need to cook for that long. You want them to brown properly on the first side, then turn them until they're browned on the second side. Then you set them aside, and then we work on the sauce that they're gonna be in. So if we were doing thighs and drumsticks, it would take a little longer. Chicken breast doesn't take that long, so we gotta keep an eye on it. All right, here we go. First one down. Oh yeah, nice and hot. Do you hear it? And another one. And the last one. And we throw this out, and I want to wash my hands. So we're just gonna make sure they get like a nice sear, that they're nice and browned on one side before we flip them. And then, like I said, we don't need to worry about doneness in the middle. We're gonna take it and put it on the plate to reserve to the side, and then they'll finish cooking inside the sauce that we're gonna make. So, all right. They are actually getting brown pretty quickly. Sounds good. Okay. Just tidying up. I'm like very distracted by all the things that are on the counter, which you still can't really see despite what I've done to the camera. That's fine. All right. I'm gonna try to flip them over. There we go. Very nice. I'll show you. They're nice and brown on one side. And they're just sizzling away. All right, I don't like this camera angle, so we're gonna move it. All right. It's an elaborate system of a box sitting in my sink that the camera tripod balances on top of. It's not that fancy. All right, problem with this is, all right, okay, all right, I'm here. All right, so that's not gonna take that much longer. These are also pretty thin pieces of chicken breast, so they're not gonna take that long to cook overall. So when they're in this sauce, they're gonna retain their moisture because they're just not gonna be searing in dry heat. There's a lot of good stuff, but we'll get there. So that's good for now. You can see it's browned on the second side too. Okay, lovely. So I'm just gonna put this aside. Okay, I've kept my heat on and I've turned it down to as low as it's gonna get. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to, if you have cumin seeds, you're supposed to put the cumin seeds in the fat and let them toast. I don't, I have ground cumin, so I'm just gonna put it in with everything in a little bit. So I'm gonna add my onions and garlic. My onions are frozen, so I'm gonna do the onions first, then the garlic, so the garlic doesn't burn. Garlic burns so quickly. And so if you're using the chicken thighs and drumsticks, you're gonna get more fat in your pan than I had from the chicken breast. And you use that fat to cook your onions. I have like a decent amount in there. But if you were doing the thighs and drumsticks, you might actually need to drain a little bit of fat. It says in here just to keep about 2 tablespoons of fat in the skillet. So once my onions have softened, we're gonna add in my garlic and salt. And then our seasonings, which are cinnamon, red pepper flakes, and bay leaves. So my onions are softening up pretty quickly, so I'm going to add my garlic. Come on in, buddy. Water's fine. Stir it up. That brown a little bit. Okay, done with that. Great, let's see. Onions, garlic, I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt. Not going to add too much salt right now because you know me, I always like to taste it at the end and season it at the end. Ooh, smell that garlic cooking. So I tried for the very first time to use a garlic press today because I was able to find one really cheap and I've never used one before. Fail, total fail. I don't know if it's just because it was a cheap garlic press from the grocery store or if it's because I'm not doing it right, but it just turned into like a flattened sheet of garlic with a couple of little pieces like poking out the top. It was a fail. So there are some weird pieces of garlic in there right now. I'm gonna add my coriander in right now. along with the cinnamon, red pepper flakes, and bay leaves. That never comes out of there. All right, cinnamon. I'm trying to get, like, keep the proportions the same, even though I'm not measuring. I never measure. It's my toxic trait. Get 2 bay leaves in there, red pepper flakes. Oh, I smell the cinnamon. Those are weak little bay leaves, that's okay. And then we stir that up really quickly just to get them in the heat and the oil. That's too much, all right. But then we pretty much immediately go ahead and add in our coconut milk. So I don't want any of this to burn either, but it is nicely browned. You can see it, yeah, you can. Okay. Right, so now add in the coconut milk and the tomatoes using a wooden spoon to break them up, because of course you use a wooden spoon with tomatoes when you're an Italian person, even when you're making a not Italian recipe. All right, so here goes my coconut milk. I'm making sure to especially get like the thicker stuff, the cream on the top. That's really, really important. You don't want to waste that. That's the good stuff. I don't need that much of the liquid. Okay. So there's that. Get that over there. I'm going to get some of my tomatoes in here. I don't need the whole thing. Like I said, I'm making a smaller recipe so I can reserve that, put that to the side, give it a stir to combine. The fat, you can see there's like a big iceberg of coconut. We're going to let that kind of combine, and it needs to melt down. And so what needs to happen now actually is it needs to cook down. So let's see. Cook the sauce until all the flavors come together, about 10 to 15 minutes. Then it says you need to add a 1/4 cup of water to the skillet and arrange the chicken pieces skin side up, which I'm not doing, in the sauce. Keep the heat on medium-low. Cook until the pieces are cooked through. If you're using chicken thighs and drumsticks, it's going to be about 30 minutes. Mine's not going to take that long. Stir in the ginger and remove the bay leaves. So the ginger, this fresh ginger, is like one of the last things that we do. So I'm just going to keep stirring this, make sure that the coconut is evenly distributed throughout. Hey, can you see her? Oh, she's like right over there. Hey there. Hi. She's bored. I don't know. All right. So yeah, my coconut is pretty well combined, and I'm just gonna get this to get up to a simmer because I want it to thicken and I want to cook out some of that liquid. And then while that's happening, we're gonna go through the cookbook and take a look. All right, so we're gonna get you back up to a simmer, my friend. All right, I'm gonna put my onions in the freezer. The rest of my onions, anyway. Food safety manager over here says we do not want them to finish thawing before I can use the rest of them. That's me. I'm the food safety manager. What are you doing? Okay. All right. So it's a very, very interesting smells in my kitchen today. I have a pan soaking in the sink, and I filled it with the Dr. Bronner's Peppermint Castile soap. So when I walk that way, it smells like peppermint. When I come over here, I smell garlic and onions and cinnamon. Okay, bye. She just went to go sit on the table. or under the table, as it were. So we may not see this recipe come completely done live on camera because it does take time to simmer, but this is the recipe that I wanted to make because it sounds scrumptious, especially. Can you smell that fresh ginger? I mean, honestly, I feel like there's not much better, maybe not nothing, but there's not much better than the scent of ginger, especially fresh ginger. And I learned a trick from the internet that I did not know previously, which is when you have your knob of ginger, you don't want to eat the skin, you want to peel it, but how do you peel it? You get a spoon. You get a metal spoon and you just kind of like shuck it and the skin comes right off. I did not know that. Previously, I was like wasting ginger because I was trying to like peel it with a knife or something. Can't really peel it with a vegetable peeler because it's so knobby and irregular. Thank you, internet. Use a spoon. I think it was actually like one of the chefs that I follow on Instagram. All right. So you can see we're starting to get some little bubbles. This will cook down and it's gonna get so nice and delicious. And she does say this would be delicious served over a bed of rice. You know me, I don't eat rice. I have coconut rice. Cauliflower rice. I'm talking about coconut rice because when I was talking about the can of coconut, my friend and I were talking last night about recipes that we've been trying, failed recipes and good recipes. And we were talking about the difference between, like I said, the canned coconut milk and the coconut milk in the carton. There are two entirely different beasts. And she was telling me how she was making coconut rice, and I said I tried to make coconut cauliflower rice, and it just didn't work because I used the wrong coconut milk. And because cauliflower doesn't absorb the same way that rice does, so I definitely needed to use the thicker stuff, and so that's why we had this whole conversation about the stuff in the can versus the stuff in the carton. For this recipe, you want to use the stuff in the can. Very rarely do you want to use the stuff in the carton. It's just not the same. It's not the same. All right, so we're going to take a look at some of the other recipes in here. Oh, today's runner-up for recipe was the chicken and ginger pad thai. But I didn't have any like noodles because you know I don't eat noodles. I don't eat rice. I don't eat grains. So and I didn't know what to use, so I kind of was just feeling a little discouraged. I have hearts of palm noodles, which was like which all of a sudden is really trendy, which I love because I love hearts of palm, so I'm glad that other people are hopping on the hearts of palm train right now. And Trader Joe's actually had them as noodles, and I think I bought all of them. I think I bought them all. I could use that, but I kind of just, pad thai without real noodles. There are some salads in here. Oh, there's a whole section on slow cookers and Instant Pots. We did also, at the library recently, just get another Instant Pot cookbook. I know a lot of people have been asking for Instant Pot cookbooks. So there's tons of, and a lot of it is incorporated into cookbooks nowadays. But this first recipe is for some slow cooker chili, which looks like a pretty standard recipe. Beans, scallions, beef, onions, bell pepper, Fresno chili. Sounds good. What else? How to make beef or chicken stock in your slow cooker. Spiral ham in a slow cooker. That sounds good. And she dresses it with parsnips, carrots, maple syrup, apple juice, dark brown sugar, Dijon mustard, both the smooth and grainy, and apple cider vinegar, which sounds delicious. And you put it in the slow cooker and it does all the work, including your vegetables on the side. These. I'm really craving desserts. Diet, what's a diet? In the slow cooker, brownies, slow cooker brownies. And she says, this is an odd place in the book to insert a dessert, but I fell in love with the idea of having a sweet treat like brownies, which are so good eaten warm just as they finish cooking, come out of a slow cooker. This recipe yields a tasty brownie with chewy edges and a very gooey center. Sign me up. I like to spoon it out into a bowl and drop a scoop of vanilla ice cream right out of the freezer on top. The warm brownies with ice cream melting over them, the best of both worlds. This is why I like to follow her on social media. Her Twitter is, I don't know if it's as much now as it used to be, like literally just food descriptions like that make you so hungry, make your mouth water. But also her Instagram, she's always posting videos of herself cooking, and just the way she describes food is A+, phenomenal. So this is just butter, flour, unsweetened cocoa powder, baking powder, salt, walnut halves. Obviously you can omit the nuts. I don't like nuts in my brownies. 9 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 8 ounces of bittersweet chocolate, a cup of sugar, 3 large eggs, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So you cook it on low for an hour and a half. Then remove the cover for an additional 30 minutes to develop a slight crust on top. Oh boy, that sounds really good. Then there are a bunch of egg dishes, like omelets, like next level omelets. I mean, there's just so much good stuff in here. 2 different recipes for spaghetti and meatballs, which has a really fun description. I mean, this is a really fun cookbook just to browse through, especially if you're a foodie and you really like food. Homemade stuffed shells, some risotto, vegetable and fruit salads, black pepper crusted roast beef, pork cutlets, fish dishes, like cod steaks, mussels. How does she season her mussels? Basil leaves, arugula, basil, sugar, extra virgin olive oil, dry white wine, garlic cloves, unsalted butter. So kind of pretty simple. Let me give this a little stir. We're doing well. You can see we're bubbling and a brewing. So the liquid is starting to cook down. All of the flavors are coming together. I smell a lot of the cinnamon. Maybe I should have measured. It's fine. It's gonna taste great with the ginger. Poached salmon, classic shrimp scampi. Oh, shrimp bisque in a bread bowl. Look at how cute those are, those little individually sized bread bowls. Except if you're me and you're gonna go for it and you're gonna have a bread bowl, which the recipe is also right in this book. Like, I want the whole bread bowl. I know that's not healthy, but I want the whole bread. I want the big bread bowl. Let's see, what else? There are a bunch of soups, broccoli and cheddar. Broccoli cheddar soup is the macaroni and cheese of the soup world. It's an excuse to eat cheese, and broccoli is a brilliant, healthy cover for it. She's right. She's so right. Chilled beet soup, juicy carrot soup. Ooh, did I just skip into breakfast territory? Baking for breakfast, waffles with crispy quinoa, gluten-free vanilla raspberry muffins, which actually I'm considering making for myself. Cheese focaccia. I think, do they have grains in them? No, it's just almond flour. So this is also a grain-free recipe too, which is exciting for me. Maybe not for anybody else, but donuts and cakes. I mean, the dessert section is split up into a lot of different things. Oh boy. Oh boy. Cookies and such. I mean, and then there's that beautiful creme brulee that I showed you back there. I get so hungry. There's a whole section on like cauliflower steaks and broccoli and cabbage. Oh, my mom was asking me how should she roast her cauliflower in the oven. Here we go. Here's a recipe, Mom. A couple days late. just a few days late, but there's a really good recipe for it in this cookbook, Mom. Broiled cauliflower steaks, whole broiled cauliflower with butter toasted quinoa, roasted broccoli, twice baked honey nut squash, which sounds amazing. And you know, Thanksgiving's coming up, right? We all like squash for Thanksgiving for whatever reason. There's, of course, a macaroni and cheese recipe in here. And as you know, I've done several macaroni and cheese recipes throughout this whole time. This looks pretty standard. Heavy cream, Dijon mustard, Gruyere, Parmesan, sharp cheddar, Worcestershire sauce, garlic, panko breadcrumbs. How we doing over there, sauce? It's coming along. Fried chicken wings, whole roasted chicken. And then we have the recipe that I have. Okay, so we're back here. Cook the sauce until all the flavors come together. And then you're going to put the chicken back in. So I think we're probably at this point now. I mean, it's definitely cooking down. It's definitely reducing a little. Oh, it smells good. Now it's starting to smell less like individual flavors, like just cinnamon. I can smell the tomatoes, and I can smell coconut slightly. I don't need to add water in here. It is definitely liquidy enough. Add your chicken, keeping the heat on medium-low. Cook until the pieces are cooked through 30 to 35 minutes. Stir in the ginger and remove the bay leaves. Taste for seasoning. So I'm going to put my chicken back in just so you can see what that's like. And I know my chicken does need to cook a little bit longer. Some of these like chubbier pieces in here, I know it's not done. So I'm going to go ahead and put my chicken right on in. Nestle it into the sauce. Let them take a nice bath. There we go. Just gonna go ahead and cover them up. Okay, there we go. Okay. I'm gonna reduce the heat just a little bit. So now this is gonna have to simmer for a long time. There we go. Okay, so I had to pull up the clock and I don't know how to swipe on this phone yet. Why am I so old all of a sudden? All right, so we're gonna let this continue to cook down. I'm going to go ahead and add in my ginger and let those flavors meld a little bit. You're not supposed to do it until the end, but stir that around. So that it's all evenly mixed in there. My sauce is definitely thickening up. It smells so good. Definitely gonna need to add a little bit of salt. I know it's not really done yet, but I can tell I'm going to need to add a little bit of salt. All right, so yeah, looks pretty good. Oh, I can smell the ginger in there. It smells so good. So I'm going to let this continue to cook on my stove. Don't forget, if you try this, that you want to take the bay leaves out. You don't eat those. So once I have simmered this probably for another like 10 minutes. I'll check my chicken for doneness. It should definitely be done by then. And if I need my sauce to thicken up, because I'm not simmering it for as long as if you were doing the chicken thighs and drumsticks, I'll go ahead and I'll add a little slurry like I have done in a couple weeks past with like arrowroot starch or cornstarch and water, or just actually the sauce. And once it hits a simmer, that arrowroot starch and the slurry thickens the sauce and makes it all cook down really nicely. So we'll see, but I think that's going to be it for me today for now. I'm really hungry. I wish this would cook a little faster, but quality over time. Can't say quantity because, I mean, time is a quantity, right? Anyway. Quality over timing. So I will be sure to post a finished picture of this recipe on our social media channels so you can see what it looks like. But for right now, this recipe is available on our website right now. So if you decide that you would like to make this for yourself, if you like chicken and you like coconut and you like ginger and you like tomatoes, and it's like a 1-skillet meal. I mean, this is so easy, and because you're letting it simmer a little bit, it kind of is cooking itself, and there's just not that much for us to do, which is a really nice kind of like end of the day meal. It's really easy to cook. The prep only took me like less than 5 minutes. I mean, if you're chopping your own onion, it's going to take a little longer. Next week's cookbook, I have not decided. I will show you what we have. So I have 2 cookbooks that we could potentially do. I have the Skinny Taste Meal Prep Cookbook, which you can see I have a couple of bookmarks in there. And then I have the new Jacques Pepin Quick and Simple book, and there are a couple of bookmarks in there as well. So I haven't decided, because I don't know what I'm going to be in the mood for next week. I don't know, are we going to be stress eating next week? Probably. I feel like everybody's gonna be stress eating next week. So I don't know, maybe I'll keep this book and next week we'll get the creme brulee. You know, that takes a long time to cook. But there are some really good recipes in both of these cookbooks. In the Jacques Pepin, there's Mom's cheese and spinach souffle. I've cooked a souffle on here before, but this one's a little different. Gratin of pumpkin with cheese. Oh, and my mom has made this before, and I thought that this was a really nice recipe, a clafouti of cherries amandine. So it's, looks delicious. I mean, this looks really, really good. My mom was on like a clafouti kick for a while, but I think it's traditionally made with cherries, and I think she was doing like blueberries. I don't know, whatever you were doing, Mom. There are a lot of good recipes in this book, but I'm trying to stick to things that are healthier. Oh, look, you could also do it this way. Steamed cauliflower with lemon butter. And then in the Skinny Taste Meal Prep book, what did I bookmark in here? This is a great cookbook because it's just one of those ones that says, like, this is really quick. This you can freeze in big batches and then just heat it up on the stove. This is gluten-free. This is vegan. It just has, you know, so many options for so many different types of people. Oh, buffalo chicken stuffed celery sticks. That sounds amazing. Actually, maybe that's what I want to make. California tuna salad stuffed cucumbers. I think those are what I'm going to make. They sound really good and delicious. Oh, this also sounded really good. The zucchini pupusas. Pupusa, yes. Apparently is how it's a savory cross between a tortilla and a tamale stuffed with just about anything. Pork, cheese, beans, and more. But this is stuffed with zucchini and you make the dough yourself. That sounds really interesting. There are a lot of things in here, and you know, people are like, but it's called Skinny Taste. The meals in here look amazing, and you don't even know that it's a diet cookbook. So those are our 2 choices. I'm probably gonna go for the snacks in this one because they just sound really appealing to me right now, but who knows, I may be in the mood for this one next week. We'll see. I'll decide, and I'll put the recipes up on our website later this week. Like I said, that is it for me today. Don't forget, if you have little ones or kids or whatever and you're missing our haunted house this year, we do have our haunted windows on display from 3 to 5 every day from now until Halloween. And then kids can pick up a trick or a treat at the front of the library on the curbside table, so don't forget about that. All right, that is it for me today. I'm really, really hungry. I'm gonna start cooking my cauliflower rice and hope that this simmers down a little bit more, and I'm gonna eat. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. If you're looking for any cookbooks, let me know and I can help you out. All right, everyone. Bye.